wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if this is the last time we've seen Kawhi in a Spurs uniform, because I believe that Kawhi believes that he's hurt. So I don't believe he's going to play at all this year. Like, this year is gone. So we're already talking about next year, and I believe that there will be discussions about Kawhi Leonard moving on to other options, wanting to play in other cities. I believe he is interested. I believe he will entertain it this offseason. Like, when the team is trying to make a push to get into the playoffs and you find yourself in another city in New York looking at other options for an opinion from a doctor, you know, and the things that they're saying. Even Popovich mentioning Kawhi and his group, that right there is just a little.
He didn't have to say group.
No, but he knows.
Yeah.
He's not in control of the situation. He knows Kawhi's not in control of the situation. He realized that Kawhi has a number of people that have his ear. And those people have expressed concerns over Kawhi and his ability to get healthy. Is he healthy? And potentially discussing what do you want to do into the future from a business standpoint. Where do you want to play basketball, and what type of shoes would you like to wear? This has deteriorated so much in the last 10 days that I have completely changed my opinion on this. 2 weeks ago, I said, I thought about it. The Spurs are not going to trade one of the 8 best players in the world, not a guy that they know they can offer exponentially more money than anybody else can. They will have the hammer in that regard. We know he's a guy who hasn't made a ton of money off the court, endorsement-wise. And one of the things he's been unhappy with is the fact that he's only making, amazingly, $500,000 a year from Jordan Brand, when he sees a guy like James Harden, who I'm sure he thinks he's better than, making literally 40 times that per year from Adidas. Like, excuse me, how much is that? So Harden's making $20 million a year from Adidas.
Right. He's making $20 million.
Yeah, because I got my friends out there watching. They
okay, a lot more. They're grabbing their phone, doing the calculator. But it has deteriorated such to where you have Tony Parker, to me, coming at Kawhi's throat. Yes. You have Steven Jackson, who knows the Spurs, saying Tony Parker does not say that. Manu Ginobili does not say that without Greg Popovich giving them the green light or even encouraging them to say that. You now have Popovich saying, man, I pay close attention to what these guys say. And when he says Kawhi and his group and keeps talking about his group, that group, he's not talking about his mom and dad. He's talking about his circle, his advisors, who I'm sure deep down Popovich feels like have caused some of this rift. There is so much to do with what we saw going before the year about, is Kawhi unhappy there? Does Kawhi want to go somewhere else? Like, all of that, I think that has led to this. And I think that has built up to this. And then you also have, CC, the idea that I think some people have, that the Spurs are putting their own team records ahead of the health of the player, right? Their own team records, something you brought up before the show. Right. That's one of the latest things is San Antonio has an unbelievable streak of winning 50 games. They've won 50 games every year since the season was 50 games because of the strike. And even more importantly, a streak as far as making the playoffs. 20 years in a row. And there are people amongst Kawhi's group that question, what's more important to you, Pop? Is it the winning 50 games? Is it the playoff streak? Because they're in jeopardy of missing the playoffs. Now, they've turned it on a little bit here of late. Yesterday's win was a huge win. And is that more important than Kawhi's overall health? Now, people would be like, oh, Popovich would never do anything like that. But Kawhi's group, they think that potentially that is on the table, is jeopardizing his long-term health compared to what's in best interest of the team and continuing their streak. And sometimes the truth is less important than what's believed. I don't know if Pete Carroll and the Seattle Seahawks threw the ball instead of handing it to Marshawn Lynch because they wanted Russell Wilson to win MVP and they didn't want Lynch to be the face of the team. I don't know if that happened. I do know enough players in the locker room believe that that was the case, that it damaged that locker room. And by the way, that team doesn't exist anymore the way it did. I don't know if it's true how much Popovich values the streak, how much he's weighing streak versus health. What I do feel like we know is people close to Kawhi believe that. And if they believe that, it's as good as it's better than the truth. And then you talk about this year, the upcoming draft, right? I sent you a clip this weekend of Luka Doncic, this 19-year-old phenom killing it in EuroLeague. We've talked about DeAndre Ayton, Marvin Bagley, Michael Porter Jr. You talk about if Kawhi Leonard's available, what are teams offering? There's only 5 players you wouldn't trade straight up for Kawhi Leonard in the whole league. Like if you, I know the Celtics aren't going to trade Kyrie because they want to build something around him, but like that's something. Kawhi for Kyrie.
Danny Ainge.
With the Phoenix Suns. Like, hey, Phoenix, what about 2 of your young players and what's going to be the top 4 pick?
Right.
What about Los Angeles?
Kawhi can't veto that trade, but he can agree not to sign an extension with those teams. But I look for there to be a great deal of interest. I wouldn't be surprised if Kawhi did not play in San Antonio. We've seen him the last game there. And I wouldn't be surprised if Boston, New York, and watch out for the Los Angeles Lakers be involved in bidding to try to obtain the services of Kawhi Leonard.
For the first time, this is what we're saying, because all season long, I think we all thought that there was a window there for him to come back, sign this max deal with the Spurs, and
$200 million and to be dangerous in the playoffs. I think. Man, I don't think he's playing again this year.
Yeah, well, we as the group, we couldn't. I mean, Kawhi and his group, they couldn't speak out until the end of the season.
Spurs need to win the next 5 games to get to 500. They got to go to get to 50 wins. They got to go 5-0. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.